Michelob Ultra Tuscan Orange Grapefruit. My God, America is imploding.
Welcome. Welcome to Fanzone. This is the final match of round 2 of the Fanzone tournament, which has been going on for as long as I can remember. I think we started this thing. We started it in February with one of the players who's actually here tonight. We have the number 1 seed of the tournament returning, Kirk Kowalkowski, back to play the number 8 seed, Andrew Barr. Kirk played Joe Farrelly, beat him to get his spot in round number 2. Barr beating Joe Harrison in a knockout. That was a very interesting match that I actually was not there for. So overall, 2 good players. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. Cody, you're here. What do you think of the match?
Ever since I can remember, I always wanted to be a Fanzone judge. And just for a moment like this to appear. Listen, this is gonna be a fucking nightmare. I'm gonna be honest with you. I respect both of these people a lot, but I don't want to be on the end of their arguments. Like, this seems like I'm settling some Club Dread bullshit behind the scenes, like, of what they think real films are and stuff. Like, I don't care. Like, they picked each other's strengths. They're doing this little meta bullshit. They can say what they want, but this is BS is what it is. But I'm excited because I get to get yelled at by Kirk for weeks on end at this point. And Barr is just old, so he's just going to yell about things about the retirement home. So it's going to be fun.
Brooklyn, you and Squirtle are here. What do you think about
that? Is that Squirtle?
Supreme Squirtle, thank you very much. Supreme. But yeah, Supreme Squirtle and I are very excited to judge Andrew and Kirk. Got to judge them a couple times before, and I know that these guys are well versed in the heat of the moment, if you will. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in those situations.
Absolutely. So let's get started by talking to the lower seeded competitor today, number 8 seed Andrew Barr with a
Squirtle.
Yes, it is Squirtle. I don't know if you know.
It's Supreme Squirtle.
It is Supreme Squirtle. Barr, you're the number 8 seed. You got a knockout in your last match. I finally got to use the cool knockout graphic that Kane made. It was pretty awesome. Tell me, how you feeling about debating Kirk?
This has been a long time coming. So the first thing I want to say to Kirk is, screw you, Kirk. Your opinions are trash. Honestly, anytime you ever bring up a movie discussion in any of the chat rooms we're in, I slap my forehead. You confuse me. Your movie takes make me sick. And I can't wait to kick your ass, buddy.
Okay, let's bring in the number 1 seed. Kirk, you're back. The last match you were here, you played Joe. You seemed nervous about that match, but then kind of dominated the whole thing. How are you feeling about being back after a couple months off? You are muted.
Just like Cody. Sweet victory.
Do that during the match.
That's how I do this. That's how I do these matches. I always come in not feeling great, but since I'm playing Barr, I feel all right because I know he's going to kind of crap the bed here like he always does. When Barr slaps his head when he hears me talk, it's like, oh, why didn't I think of that? That's so intelligent and insightful. That's why he slaps himself in the head whenever I talk. So I understand, Barr.
Oh, I'm slapping my head and trying to think how it is. I'm trying to get it to work.
You'll catch up one of these days. Don't worry.
Okay, well, here's how the show is going to work. We gave the competitors 4 questions based on 4 categories that they drafted. They're going to debate those questions. They each get 1 minute opening, followed by a 5-minute free-form debate, followed by a 1-minute closing for each competitor. Then the judges, me, Cody, Brooklyn, we will write on our handy-dandy boards who we think won the point. 2 out of 3 votes wins you the point. Magical. The first person to 3 points is the winner. So if we are tied out of the 4 prep questions, we will go to a bonus question. We'll explain the rules when we get there. But any questions from the competitors before we get started?
How badly am I allowed to kick his ass?
Let's fight.
Allowed.
cut off Kirk, and I feel bad because it sounds like it was going to be something funny. But let's get started with question number 1. This is going to be in the category that Kirk drafted. It's going to be in the category of Worlds of DC/DC. And the question is, who is the worst character in a Batman movie? So Kirk, you drafted this, so you get 1 minute to open your argument when you start talking. I will come in and give you a 10-second countdown when the time comes.
Okay. There's been a lot of good Batman characters in these movies. Also been a lot of bad ones. So this question was hard to pick because you're going to look at what is the worst character in the context of the movie itself, and also what character did the worst damage to the legacy of that character. I think I'm correct in my choice of both. When I picked Bane from Batman and Robin, they took a character who was new at the time, just kind of showed up the comics, or the scene really made a big splash. People were talking about it, said, hey, let's squeeze this guy into this comic, into this movie somehow. And it was a complete disaster. Not only did they completely get the character wrong, but it is just a very stupid character in a very stupid movie. It takes all the worst elements of that movie and just exacerbates it tenfold. It's poorly done from a standpoint of a comic book fan, also from a standpoint of a movie fan. Whatever way you watch this movie, the character is ridiculous. It's poorly done, and it is the worst character ever in a Batman movie.
All right, time. All right, we'll move over to Barr. Barr, you now have 1 minute to open your argument when you start talking.
I picked a character that's not only completely insulting to the Batman legacy, but it's just completely insulting to moviegoers in general. I picked Dr. Chase Meridian from Batman Forever, that trash movie. Nicole Kidman is a great actress, but my God, she is flailing about in this movie. She's just a plot point to move things along. She's kind of like this weird back and forth, like sexual tension with Batman, and when they try to do that, it's kind of creepy and disturbing. And like she's supposed to be this brilliant mind, but like some of the things that she comes up with, like literally anybody could have said the exact same thing, and like it wouldn't have mattered. So she's a complete waste of space in a movie that's already bad, and she's just making the movie worse. Plus, she's a pretty original character, so she's not trashing the legacy of anything, which we'll argue about later.
All right.
I'll use my time.
All right. Bane, Chase Meridian. 5 minutes of freeform when one of you starts talking. Please don't talk over each other, or I'll come in
Make no promises.
and hit you with a stick, and I'll come in with a 1 minute warning.
Kirk, I want to talk about this whole thing of trashing Bane's legacy. He was a relatively new character. There was no time for like a trashing of a legacy with this character. Plus, he's always kind of a goon. He's in all of the movies that he's ever in. He's always kind of the stooge. So it's not that new.
Did you see Dark Knight Rises? He's not a goon at all. He's a brilliant strategist. He's the equal of Batman. He is the guy that comes in. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Dark Knight Rises, but they get the character right, at least that he is an equal of Batman. He can outsmart Batman. He can outdo Batman when it comes to physicality. What they did with this character, he was, like you said, he was a new character, but he had already established a legacy. He took down Batman. He was the first villain to ever take down Batman, make Batman want to quit, make Batman give up. And then, they dedicated, a year and a half worth of storylines to this character. And because of that, they tried to squeeze him into the movie and, completely got the whole thing wrong. You're confused because at first you said that Chase Meridian did tarnish the legacy of Batman. Then you said she didn't. So I'm not sure where you're coming from that. This is a new character, relatively innocuous. The love interests are usually pretty weak in this movie, but she does anything to make the movie worse. She's just kind of there. She's on par. I mean, she gets the tone of the movie. She's right there. Her and Val Kilmer. I mean, whatever you want to say about their chemistry, it matches. They're at the same level. They're played off each other. Nicole Kidman, is putting forth effort. With Bane, he's just a cartoonish monster. It's ridiculous.
Kirk, all of the villains in Batman and Robin are cartoonish monsters. And by the way, he's Talia al Ghul's goon in The Dark Knight Rises, so he is still someone else's goon in that movie. Also, with Dr. Chase Meridian, the whole the moment where the scene where she lights the bat signal and it's just there to get Batman's dick is like, come on, that's insulting to the entire series. Like all of the other women in Batman's life have actually been really interesting. Like Vicky Vale is actually a pretty interesting character, but with this, it's just like, ooh, you wear black leather. And like her dialogue is atrocious in this movie. The whole, what is it about the wrong kind of man as the get piercings in elementary school and blech.
The dialogue of this movie in general is terrible. She's not definitely not the worst culprit of this. And like the whole like weird sexual tension. Did you see Batman Returns? I mean, that was kind of like a theme of the series, was like that weird like sexual like S&M relationship with the other female lead. That's just how it is. And these scenes you mentioned, I don't even remember because the character is just kind of forgettable. I do remember Bane dressed up in like the trench coat and the hat, trying to like sneak around and like it working, the costume working. I remember Bane jumping on the board and it actually making the boing sound. I mean, this character is just ridiculous. Everything in that, you're right. Everything in this movie is ridiculous. But at least Schwarzenegger's having fun. Uma Thurman, she's the only one in this movie who understands the kind of movie she's in, so she's hamming it up. Bane is just ridiculous. They painted him green, and they just did every stupid thing. They put him in the gorilla costume. There's not a lot there to go on, and he makes that movie worse.
But he fits the tone of that movie. I do remember all of that stuff because honestly, that movie is so enjoyable because it's bad. But with my movie, Dr. Chase Meridian, she's also supposed to be this brilliant mind, and when he comes to her with the letters that Enigma has been sending, her first thing is, he's a wacko. Brilliant deduction, Doctor. Though we couldn't have had someone else with that mind.
Okay, but she fits the entire, as I was saying before, she fits the entire tone of that movie as well. She is right there with her and Kilmer on the same wavelength the entire movie. They, like, say what you will about them, one way or the other, they fit each other. They are a perfect match in that movie. They are both kind of just like supposed to be smart, but they're really airheaded. So I mean, that's just the tone of that's just the tone of the characters. That's the tone of the movie. She's not the worst part of that movie. She's not the worst dialogue in that movie. I mean, you look at Tommy Lee Jones; he's horrible in that movie. You look at Jim Carrey going way over the top. Chris O'Donnell and his dialogue. I can tell you every character in that movie is worse than her. Bane. There's a lot of stupid stuff going around Bane, but nothing is those moments that I mentioned. There's nothing dumber in those movies. That Bane takes everything stupid in that movie and cranks it up to 11. He is the worst thing in that movie, and he's the worst representation of a Batman villain in the entire series.
That makes it better. Because I remember Bane a lot more. With Meridian, she's just there to be a plot point and a key.
If you kick me in the nuts, I'm going to remember that. It doesn't mean it was good.
Yeah, but at least I felt something.
We're getting all sorts of good shit tonight. All right, Barr, you get to close your argument first. You have 1 minute when you start talking.
This character is such a tonal whiplash while still being incredibly creepy and like boring at the same time. That face, those lips, that body, like Jesus Christ, I've heard all of this before. You're bringing nothing new or fun to this movie. Like, at least with Bane, I remember him with the stupid hat and the trench coat and enjoying the fuck out of that. And I remember him actually putting the bombs around the thing, going bomb. And at the time, Kirk's trying to make this argument about trashing the legacy. He was still so new of a character, and it's not like other characters have been adapted into like new characteristics. It's not the first time that's ever happened. With mine, it's a creepy relationship that's so tonally whiplashed, and she's a dumbass. It's not like she brings anything interesting to this movie. Anybody could have said the exact same things as her in this movie, and it would have been the same movie.
Time. All right. Kirk, you now have 1 minute when you start talking.
I have no idea what Barr's talking about with this tone of whiplash. She fits the tone of the movie perfectly. As far as her relationship and her feelings towards Batman, that's every woman in this series. It's Vicky Vale. It's Catwoman. If you're attracted to a man who wears leather and a cape and dressed like a bat, you're probably a little weird. And that's how she is. She's a little weird. She's a little off. And everybody's a little off in this movie. It's a very it's a weak character, but it's not the worst. Bane is the worst. Bane is disrespectful to the original comic book, and he is disrespectful just to the person watching it because it insults your intelligence how stupid that character is. He was an established character in the comics. He had established himself as a very important character in the Batman's Rogues Gallery, and they just stuffed him into this movie because he was new and they thought it would be cool to put him in there. Completely changed what he was, turned him into a villainous genius to a plant monster, which is just really awful. Worst Batman villain in any of these movies.
Time. All right. Let's Jesus. The judges. Man, last match. Call back to last week's match, guys. We got fucking a Vulcan doesn't get you a humpback whale. Tonight we got you kick me in the nuts. I'm gonna remember it. Doesn't mean it's good, but I felt something. We're getting a lot of good shit tonight.
That's my proudest moment ever.
Oh man. Judges, are we good?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going first. I'm going Kirk. I think Kirk did a really good job of explaining why not only Bane was the worst part of an already bad movie, but he also did a good job of explaining why all the other shit that Barr was talking about with Chase Meridian is fits the tone of that movie and isn't as bad as Robin and Tommy Lee Jones, Two-Face, and Jim Carrey and everything. So I give it to Kirk. Cody, where would you have gone?
See, I'm still waiting to for my sources to come in and give me information if Kirk likes Batman or not. I think he does. I think there was a little bit of.
I think he's wearing a shirt.
That doesn't mean shit. Okay, calm down. I went with Kirk because he basically painted the picture on both why he thinks it's the worst, and then he picked I think Barr tried to argue a character that wasn't very couldn't remember, and then didn't do a really good job selling why that makes it worse. So, yeah.
All right, Kirk gets the first point. Brooklyn, I see your face. Where would you have gone and why?
I also would have went with Kirk.
Okay.
I think Kirk did a really good job of listening to Andrew's opening remarks. I picked up a couple of extra points to add, and you always get me with a balanced argument, and I think Kirk had a really good balance.
That's fair. I thought your smirk was because you were going to disagree with Cody. It didn't turn out to happen. So
not yet.
Kirk gets the first point. We are going to move on to the second question, which was drafted by Mr. Barr. It is in the category of horror. The question is, what is the best scene in a theatrically released Romero Dead movie? So, Barr, you drafted this. You get to go first. 1 minute when you start talking.
The best scene in any of the Romero Dead films should be a scene where you build the world, you build the zombie apocalypse that's happening, and you build the confusion and the chaos around it. And no scene ever does that better than the SWAT scene towards the beginning of Dawn of the Dead. This is a movie that is already incredible, but the best scene is not in the mall. It's this scene where the SWAT team is raiding a building. And suddenly, during the middle of this raid, zombies start attacking, and you find out that there are zombies that have been held there for a while. It builds the world. It shows you what the zombies look like. It shows you the chaos that ensues, and it's the best way to start a movie. And I yield the rest of my time.
Okay, yielding about 8 seconds. We will move over to Mr. Kirk for his opening when you start talking.
For my best Romero scene, I went to the opposite end of the movie Barr picked. I went with the final invasion, the motorcycle invasion of the mall in Dawn of the Dead. I think this movie captures the spirit of Romero's sensibilities in general, but also mostly his take on the zombie world and what that means and how that relates to everything, and what just the absurdity of living in that world and what that means, the absurdity of trying to, control death or, think you can avoid it. That's what all these movies are about. And that's what this movie, this climactic scene ultimate does. There's a lot of great action, a lot of great kills, a lot of great character work, some of the best zombie performances in any Romero movie. One of the best, I think, that we'll get to. But this is definitely the best scene. If you want to show somebody capture what is the world of George Romero's zombies, you want to show them this scene.
Okay. All right. Dawn of the Dead scenes. 2 of them. 5 minutes when one of you starts talking.
Yeah, if I wanted to show the absurdity, I would probably absolutely show this one, because the absurdity in this scene is way too much. There's a part of this scene where the motorcyclists are slapping zombies in the face with pies, with cartoonish sound effects and goofy music playing in the background. Look, I'm watching the Dead films to be terrified, and I'm not getting that from this scene.
What you are getting from this scene is that idea of, that's what this whole movie is about. This whole movie is about just the lack of control the characters have, and the control they think in their minds they're getting, and the false reality they're creating for themselves. And this one all comes crashing down. That final scene is a beautiful conclusion to that, where these bikers who also think that they've dominated the zombies and they've gain control of this world come in, and it results finally in that pie fight, which is just so ridiculous. That shows how ridiculous they are, that they think they can overcome this. And of course the tables turn very quickly, and they're all torn apart and killed, because obviously you can't control this. But that absurdity is that feel runs through the entire Dead's franchise. That idea of, this is ridiculous, the idea of trying to live in this world, and it's never done better than it is in this scene.
Yeah, but you go from this really intense like first start of it, where it's hundreds of them coming in, and then you go into this whole thing where they're kind of just shopping, and as I said, the pies. Whereas mine, it also has this whole false sense of control. This is a SWAT tactical team that thinks that they have control of the situation at hand, and then the tides completely turn when the zombies start coming. It's got one of the best zombie moments in the entire franchise, with the one zombie biting the woman on the neck. That scene is incredible because it builds to the chaos and the confusion that this world is creating. And the editing and the pacing, it's so much better in the SWAT tactical team, where it's kind of jumbled and all over the place, and you can't focus.
I disagree. The first of all, the SWAT team never has control. I mean, that's never an idea. Like, they go in,
but they think they do.
It automatically goes to hell. And the editing in yours is very choppy. It's really hard to get a sense of place and area and how big it is, what's going on. It's a very claustrophobic, not in a good way. To see what's going on. It's just a lot. Some of the worst acting in the movie from the supporting cast in this scene. Just a lot of yelling and screaming, and the zombies aren't as scary in this part, because again, you're just starting out. And like I said, yeah, you do get this sense, and the rest of the movie just builds on this. Is the first layer of the movie. Yeah, you do get this fear, and then from there you're building. And okay, it's okay, we found a place, we can fortify this, we can live here, we can live normal, we can get our lives back, and it's all a facade, it's all fake, and everything you're talking about, the shopping scenes, all that builds that, and it finally builds to my scene, the humor and the absurdity and the violence all mixed together. I also would say, as far as acting goes, I think my scene has the best zombie performance by any actor in a Dead movie, from David Emgry, Flyboy, when he gets turned. His performance as zombie is terrifying. It's heartbreaking. The way he is able to use his body, the way he drags his foot is amazing. He's so great. And again, he's still in his eyes. You see the humanity in his eyes. There's nothing you're seeing that tops that. It's such a great conclusion of the character.
I'd actually argue that his performance in the SWAT team is actually better, because not only do you see the confusion, but you see the anger and the pain, especially when his other SWAT members are killing themselves.
You're talking about a different character.
Sorry, yeah, but still, they look exactly the same. But the performance in that scene is actually so much better because of the confusion and the anger and the pain and the horror that is actually flying around in those eyes.
Like I said, I think the acting that is very weak. I think it's a lot of just like these. It's a lot of like side actors. Real quick, I want to get to something before, because I don't want to bring it up in my closing. You can argue against it. You're seeing very racist. The minorities are portrayed very badly. There's some very obvious brown face in this scene, and it makes it very, very cringy.
Well, also the racist character in that is the first one to get taken down, so there's a message behind that. Also, you were talking about this yelling and screaming. Of course, there's yelling and screaming and chaos around. There's fucking zombies. And the editing, actually, the frantic editing and that frantic pacing and that claustrophobia that you said actually builds and intensifies that moment. So actually, the editing and the pacing in my scene works so much better than yours, where it actually like takes dips and like takes time where it's like nothing's happening.
I disagree completely. My scene is very well paced, a lot of action, a lot of horror, a lot of comedy. Yours is just this happens.
All right, Kirk, you get to close your argument first. Okay. 1 minute when you start talking.
Getting to the editing that Barr was talking about, his scene, it just this happens, this happens, this happens. There's no thread, there's no connectivity. It's just kind of a sloppy mess of just random things happening. Everything in my scene is connected. The fights, the action, the horror, like I said, the character work in my scene is so much stronger than in his. With both the survivors in the mall and the gang, you have just a lot of really great character moments mixed in with all that other stuff. And like I said, my scene is scary. It is ridiculous, but that ridiculous absurdity leads to the fear because you realize just how insane it is to even try to live in this world and how horrifying it is. So I think Barr's scene is is much weaker than mine. It sets the stage and it builds from there and it builds layer by layer and it gets to my scene. My scene is the completion of the ideas that the seeds planted in his.
Okay. We'll move over to Barr for his closing. 1 minute when you start talking.
Mine actually does also build layer by layer, but it's all layer by layer in one scene, which is amazing. There's the tactical confidence. Then there's the chaos that happens from the actual tactical strike. Then there's the chaos once the zombies are included. Then there's the chaos that is happening in everyone's mind as to what is happening, taking their own lives in some instances. With Kirk, his goes on for so long. Like when the invasion fails and they're leaving, it's boring and it's quiet and like nothing happens. The whole thing with the one guy's arm and the heart rate machine, like that is so fake looking. Like how the hell does that even happen? That like it is the dumbest looking thing. The pies and the goofy music that's just suddenly coming out of nowhere, it's super distracting. With mine, it is a tight 4 minutes that builds the emotion, that builds the tensity of the movie, and it builds the world around it, creating an epic scene.
Time. Okay. Bring everybody back in. We get to start. Are we good, judges?
Yeah.
We get to start with Brooklyn because your vote didn't count last time.
I'm gonna go with Barr this time, and I went with Barr because I feel like he was able to take a lot of Kirk's attacks and kind of turn them into positives for their own arguments. And I just think Kirk near the end of it was starting to get a little repetitive. But I do realize that there are two other judges.
Yeah, I'll go next. I went with Kirk. I thought that Kirk did a good job of explaining why his scene has kind of all the best things about the movie, and the franchise has some of the best zombie performances and some of the great moments of the franchise, while also tearing down Barr's like overacting and ridiculousness and poor editing and stuff like that. So I actually I went with Kirk. So Cody, you get to decide this one.
This just in, this is the only Romero movie that's actually good because that's the only one they picked from. So you don't have to watch any more. That's what they just confirmed today. I hope this is a weird strategy to get to sudden death because I'm really confused because like picking somebody to pick something against me with Boston Red Sox, like I felt like somebody was arguing against an encyclopedia and he was doing really well. But at the end of the day, he held the encyclopedia. It was really weird. But Kirk got my point. I just think Kirk,
No, that's
Kirk
fair.
had so much knowledge on everything and had to correct him numerous times throughout. Like, it was weird.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah,
I hope this is a strategy to get to sudden death because I don't know what happened.
I was so hoping that everyone forgot about that.
I did forget about that. I didn't at first. I was like, oh, okay, yeah. Also, fun fact: only dead movie I've seen is the Zack Snyder one. So I apologize, everybody.
This is the only one, right? We're not talking about Zack Snyder? No, I'm just kidding.
Okay. So we're going to move on to the next question, which was drafted by Kirk. Surprisingly, it's in the category of musicals, specifically classic musicals. You know, Kirk's favorite.
That's me.
The question is, what song from a classic musical holds up the best today? Kirk, you drafted this, so you get to go first. 1 minute when you start talking.
The song from a classic musical that I picked that holds up the best is America from West Side Story. I think America from West Side Story holds up not only as very entertaining, very well done, very fantastic musical number with some very modern energy and modern style. It holds up that way, but also in the message that it entails. It has a very modern, very poignant message of America and what America promises versus what America delivers. And I think that's very much still an issue, obviously, that is, near and dear to a lot of people. It's, everybody deals with that at some level, whether you are, new to the country, you've been here a while. It's America's a complex place. I think this song and this number really captures that in a very lively and entertaining way that still definitely holds up, whether you just want to be entertained, enjoy a fun song and dance, or really want to think about some things.
Okay. Let's move over to Barr. Barr, 1 minute when you start talking.
I picked a scene and a song sequence that is still parodied to this day, still referenced to this day, still talked about to this day, still sung to this day. It is Singing in the Rain from the movie Singing in the Rain. This is a universal song. This doesn't just fit like a select group of people. This is a worldwide thing that everyone does. Everyone who hasn't danced around in the rain with the umbrella while twirling it because of this scene. The song is incredible. The dancing is fantastic. Gene Kelly in this is just absolutely charismatic and charming. And it sounds great. It looks great. The cinematography, the way that this camera moves, it's fantastic. It is a piece that is held up to this day and will stay around for years to come. And I yield my time.
All right, America versus Singing in the Rain. I'm having deja vu. 5 minutes.
Why?
5 minutes when one of you starts talking.
Boy, I've never danced around and splashed around the way with an umbrella because of the song or for any reason. I'm telling you the truth. I watched both these scenes right before we came in this because I wanted to come in fresh. I got two completely different feelings for both of them. I'm not going to say Singing in the Rain is horrible, but I watch America. I see young people, very youthful energy, very modern style. I look at Singing in the Rain. I see a older gentleman with a very, doing a style of dance, tap dancing, which isn't really popular anymore, really isn't in vogue. It's it's an older style of dancing. His style, what he's wearing, his clothes, he even has that old crooner style voice, which really isn't, it's not bad, but it's a relic. It's not something that's around today. America is you could show this to kids right now and they'd buy into it. I show this, my daughter watches West Side Story and she is very much into this, the movie in general, but this scene in particular, because just that style and the energy it has. You're not going to get that same reaction with Singing in the Rain. That's for another generation.
You got two reactions because we've all known about you, Kirk. You can't feel joy. It angers you. That's what you got.
Okay.
And to say that tap isn't popular, first of all, tell that to all the tap dancing students that I've ever hang out with and took classes with. And a crooner style voice. Sorry, Mister. I love the Rat Pack so much. Sinatra is still a gem because of that crooning style voice. So that's bullshit. With Singing in the Rain, it's just a more universal song. It's about joy and just feeling that joy that you have, even if it's raining outside, and just enjoying the moment that you're in. With yours, I mean, yeah, it touched a moment to a specific group of people, especially for a specific period in time. The whole industry boom in America is not really happening that much anymore. Cadillac Zoom, it's more like a Tesla now. And the ADR in this scene is awful. There's that one scene where the one girl says, "I know you do," and it sounds like it's being sung through a tin can. Everything still sounds and looks amazing in Singing in the Rain.
Everything looks and sounds amazing in America, too. I mean, there may be a few spots, but again, there's a lot more moving pieces. That's another thing about the movie. It's an entire dance number. You have an entire group of people, and I think there's a higher degree of difficulty with that. With yours, it's one guy, and he's danced around, and he's splashed around in the rain. Mine is much better choreographed, much better. But that's not the point. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about which one holds up the best. You say mine only is for a specific period. Do you watch the news? Do you see what's going on in the world right now? This song is as relevant right now to many people than your song ever is. You show your song to somebody right now, or you're seeing somebody right now, they're going, "Oh yeah, that's cute, that's fun." My scene, it's going to touch people. It's going to have an impact. Like I said, in a very playful and fun way. This movie is this song is a touchstone of what America promises versus what America delivers, the expectation versus the reality, and that rings true for a lot of people. Your song.
It's called America, and it's about America, and especially for America at that time period. And you said there's not that many moving pieces with Singing in the Rain. Oh my God, are you insane? The whole moment where he's like dancing under the canopy, the one with like the rain spout, the scene where he's grapevining and the camera's moving like along with him. There are so many moving pieces to that scene.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, yours got some good camera, but again, you're getting off topic. That has nothing to do with this. We're talking about relevance. We're talking about which one holds up the most. Your scene does not hold a candle to mine. My scene is, I watch mine has a very young, youthful energy. The style they wear, like I said, I have a 16-year-old daughter. She goes to school dances. I see these kids, what they wear, they hang out. I go to one of her dances. I see the clothes that they're wearing in this movie. I see the styles. This is a very modern looking movie. And again, I mean, style and everything is cyclical, but this stuff is back. This stuff is in. You watch the scenes from the remake, they're wearing the same clothes let's bring that up. My movie is being remade with my scene because it is so relevant.
That has nothing to do with the relevancy of one song.
The fact that
it's nothing to do with the relevancy of that one song. By the way, you want to talk about youthful energy? The way that Gene Kelly is moving around and singing and enjoying everything, there's no youthful energy in his performance. That's insane. Plus, I don't understand what you're talking about, how there's like no universality with Singing in the Rain. That's how, like, everybody has felt joy at some point as they're singing in the rain and like having that moment as they're walking through, twirling an umbrella. The amount of young people I know that still reference this and like do it for college projects, it's insane.
Very nice market there, buddy. That's your little world.
All right. We're going to start with Barr. You have 1 minute to close your argument when you start talking.
So America, if you listen to it, it is very pitchy. There is a lot of pitchiness in this song, especially the one girl who sings Cadillac Zoom in America. It is pitchy as fucking. Gene Kelly sounds absolutely amazing. Singing in the Rain is a song that like absolutely everyone knows. Everyone references it. People have like still reference it to this day, from Family Guy to How I Met Your Mother and all of these other things. With America, yes, it was relevant to the time, and a specific small subgroup of people, where mine is actually a very universal thing. Like a country like Japan can still connect to this, Uruguay, Canada. Plus, the way that it's shot in this, it's incredible. And we're talking about the scene, not necessarily the song. The scene is incredible with the way that the camera moves and follows Gene Kelly as he's going through these amazing choreography.
Time. All right. We're going to move over to Kirk. You have 1 minute to close your argument when you start talking.
Barr's talking a lot about the technical aspects of these movies. I think, or his scene. I think mine holds up as well as his does. But that's what we're talking about. He's getting locked down on the technical aspects. I'm talking about relevance. America. He says that not everybody can apply to this. This is this is about people coming to America, so the entire world can look at this and see their opinions of America, what they think about America, and what America actually is reflected in that. This isn't about just Americans. This is about other people coming to America, and that's again, Barr's crazy to say that's only for that specific time. With everything that's going on in the world right now, this is very specific to what's going on now. It's universal. Yeah, sure, you feel joy, you feel happy. There's a million songs that make you feel that way. It doesn't make them relevant. This one actually has something to say. And again, like I said, it is a very modern style. It's a very modern music. It is very well done. And this is just, again, if we're talking about what show my scene and his scene to a 16-year-old, the 16-year-old's going to pick my scene every time because it's relevant.
All right.
I will take that challenge.
Okay.
I want to go home.
Cody, you decided the last time.
Yeah.
Okay, you get to go first.
So, everybody having fun? 'Cause I'm not. So I'm currently not excited to look forward to my top 100. But on that note, if I put the context of the question in play, I have to go with Kirk. I think Kirk painted it just better to fit through everywhere. As much as I think, I agree. I think you started talking about where it fits at the end, Bar, but I think that he was able to. You talked a lot about the scene, and the scene is great. But I'm thinking we're talking about the song that still holds up and the numbers that holds up. And I think they're both. You both talked about how great it was both shot. I think that's a wash. I think you saw it. His was pitchy and stuff. That's fine. I just think he used the context of today. But there's two other judges, so hopefully I'm not the end all be all. I apologize to everybody here.
Brooklyn, you get to go next.
So almost what I said with the last question, but changed the people. I'm giving it to Kirk. I think that Kirk was just able to hit both sides of it. And I've been in Andrew's situation before. It's not fun, but it's just the way it is, unfortunately.
And my vote doesn't count. I won't rub salt in the wound too hard. I also would have gone with Kirk. That means your winner by way of knockout is Kirk Kowalkowski. Wow, what a match. We're going to start by talking to Barr. Barr, you played really, really well today, but couldn't quite make it happen. I see you're upset. How are you feeling?
I would have just liked to have gotten 1 point. Like that would have been great. I could have lost the other 3 and just gotten 1. That would have been great. I don't want to get too much into it. Kirk did a great job. I'm not going to take that away from him. He played fantastically. It just kind of sucks. That's all.
Yeah. No, I absolutely feel that, man. I'm sorry, but you did play really, really well. A couple of those were super, super close. It just kind of came down to a couple things. But, dude, you played great. I'd love to see you come back. Hopefully you do come back. And if you do, I'd be really excited. I'd be there. Well, obviously I'd be there, but I'd be first in line to watch it. But, Barr, thanks for being here today. Let's move over to the winner, Kirk. Kirk, you won. You added a second KO to your record. You are now 6-1 with 2 KOs. How are you feeling about your performance today?
I feel good. You know what they say? It's like when you play your friends, it's a wash because, if you lose, your friend wins. But the downside of that is if you win, you have to watch your friend lose. And I know Barr's taking this hard. I hate to see that. I had a lot of fun fighting with him. I was so looking forward to this because he and I, despite all the preamble, I think he and I see eye to eye more than anybody else in Club Dread most of the time. But when we don't, it gets really heated. It's a lot of fun. It's always in good fun. We never get mad at each other. I can't say that for everybody in the group. It's never taken personal. It's just like this, back and forth, and we jaw at each other. So it was a lot of fun. I was really excited to play Barr. I'm glad I got to do it. We'll see. I'm glad we didn't get to the Disney question because I mixed up Treasure Island and led us to the Lost Empire. So that would have went poorly. So I'm glad you didn't get that point because that would have went downhill fast. We'll see what happens next.
What is next is you're moving on to round number 3 of the tournament. You're just a couple matches away from getting 2 Mayhem in the title match. And next you will be playing Nick Tuig, which is due to be a hell of a match. How do you feel about playing Nick?
That's another scary one. Nick can talk, and Nick knows this. And not only can he talk, but he knows his stuff. That's a scary combination. I've debated Nick in some other formats, and it's not easy. It's going to be fun. Regardless, it's going to be another fun match. So I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. All right. Well, we'll see you in a couple weeks in the next match. Congrats on the win. Brooklyn, final thoughts.
Cody, does this remind you of a fight that we once had at one point? Kind of ring any similar bells? Yeah, sure. It was fun. I will say, as Kirk and Andrew have both been people on playlist, and you guys had a song about a song. Are you had a question about a song? You didn't even argue the music. How dare you? Where was the tempo? Where was the key changes?
You're muted, Cody.
No one cares.
Cody, final thoughts.
Squirtle and I care. Supreme Squirtle and I care.
So here's my final thoughts on this: is the one next to Kirk's name in this tournament is earned and deserved, and that was proven tonight. He's been off for a while. He talks a bunch of shit about how he's not good. That man is prepped. That man is cold, calculated, and ready to go. You can't convince me any other way. I've seen it twice now. I've seen it last season. I've seen it this season, and I clearly saw it tonight. I could have, as a judge, clearly given Barr that point at the end and let's prolong this. I can't do that as the person that I think when the rifle person has that, I have to go with him. And I think he just beat down. I still think this match, I want to play this match again because I think picking each other's stuff was just a weird strategy. I get it. And I don't know why that was about. I still want to find that out, but I know it was just a fun because they're friends. But if you play this where they're both going cutthroat and they're both going for stuff they both hate, this is a close match. And I think if we start, I think it ends the same. Yeah, you don't know what I was talking about. Well, sorry about that. My thing is, if you play the Disney question up first, I still think it ends 3-1. I just think Kirk was on a different level tonight. I wouldn't want to play Kirk right now. There's no shot in hell I'd play Kirk.
Yeah, if we end up with a Kirk Kowalkowski versus Jacoby Bancroft at Mayhem, I would not be surprised, and that would be one scary fucking match. So we'll see what happens next with Kirk in round 3 when he goes up against Tuig. But guys, that's going to do it for us tonight. Like I said, be on the lookout for Kirk versus Tuig. It's coming very soon. But next week, we have Amaru Moses going up against Caleb Coho, also set to be a very interesting match. So we got a lot of great matches coming up in Fanzone. We'll see you very soon. Thank you to Kirk and Barr, Cody and Brooklyn. I have been Tim. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Asshole! That's my bad. I was sending a tweet.